Hey Denchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and welcome to my review of the highly anticipated 6th studio album by Dutch trance DJ and producer Armin van Buuren. This one is called Embrace. Now, when I found out this album was going to be announced, I actually kind of anticipated it, especially following Hardwell's album release. I figured this was going to come out this year, just so Armin can kind of keep his name in the scene, especially in the producer scene, not just the DJ scene, because he's still pretty much killing the trance DJ scene. And following his release, Another You with Mr. Probs, who Hardwell also produced with, I just kind of figured an album was inevitable. Now, in a lot of ways, this album is pretty somber because it kind of showcases Armin van Buuren's departure from typical trance music to the house scene, which is actually pretty sad considering Armin van Buuren was one of the only trance producers I'd actually listen to willingly, especially following the release of his album Intense, which I actually really liked, that released back in 2013. This album, for the most part, is pretty depressing. Now, the album is being led with singles like Strong Ones, which actually I think have a really powerful vocal line, which I think Armin van Buuren has the ability to do because of his stature and his nature as a world-famous trance producer. Kind of progressing into the house scene, I think it kind of appears like he doesn't know what he's doing in this aspect. And although he's made some really kicking house music before, I loved Another You as a single. I think for the most part this album is pretty disappointing on that aspect. The album kicks off with kind of a progressive trance intro, which is called Embrace, which, like I said, somberly reminds me of Intense. It had the same title on the last album, or the title track was the intro, and I think for the most part this one kind of kicks off with the same style, not necessarily with the violins that the intro of the last one was, just kind of kicking off with a trance style and then kind of departing from that and into a mostly progressive house album. And for the most part, this album is underlined by a very amateur-sounding progressive house sound that I think a lot of people have pulled off much better this year. And I really, even though I want to see artists progress in different ways, I really don't think this was the direction that he can really successfully go. Another You was a really awesome single, and I think he did a good job with that, but that could have been the one house single from the album. For the most part, he's just trying to rip off a very amateur style that everyone in the scene has done by now. From about track 3 to track 7, we're basically getting this pretty bland progressive house sound. We start to hear some little trance sounds, but it doesn't really sound good in the context of the record because of its nature. Really kind of like the first collab with Bully Songs on this one. I've mentioned Bully Songs and a couple other things. He's been big with making music in the trance scene and the house scene. Called Caught in the Slipstream, and takes a little bit more of an electro kind of trance house kind of combination, and I think it works pretty well in this aspect. We get to Embargo, which I thought was kind of a disappointment, pretty bland for being an Armin van Buuren and Cosmic Gate collab. I really dig Cosmic Gate, so it was pretty disappointing to hear a collaboration with such stature kind of fall flat. Another one that I thought was really good was the other collab with Bully Songs called Freefall, although I think it took a little bit too many of the sounds from Intense. Quite reminded me of a majority of the songs on Intense, actually, which was nice because I really enjoyed that album, but I think he could have progressed a little better with his sound on this one. Regardless, I still liked it. Skip the kind of bland Indestructible with DBX and Old School, which, as its name might state, brings pretty much nothing new. Off the Hook is one that I was pretty hyped for when I first heard about it. It released on both Revealed and Armada, I think, which was, I guess it made sense since both the label owners, Hardwell and Armin van Buuren, were the collaborators on this piece. But it was actually pretty disappointing, honestly. The first drop fairly bland, the second one kind of sounding a little better, more trancey, but regardless, this one fell pretty flat for me and could have been a lot better for two producers and DJs of their stature. The album closes off with Looking for Your Name featuring Gavin DeGraw, and I was pretty excited to hear this one because of a vocalist on the level of Gavin DeGraw finally collaborating with Armin van Buuren. But honestly, this one doesn't sound like an Armin van Buuren track. Like, it could have easily just been a Gavin DeGraw track. Like, if someone were to listen to this, they wouldn't be able to pinpoint that Armin van Buuren produced this, and there's literally no way. Like, obviously, it's got a beautiful piano line, doesn't showcase any of his sounds, and I honestly think, even though this could be him expanding his boundaries into further territories, and it does make a good outro, could have been a lot better, honestly. And honestly, I think this album felt pretty flat. I'm going to be forced to give it a solid 4, which I never thought I'd have to give to Armin van Buuren, given how much I loved Intense. But I'm looking forward to the future. Hopefully he'll be able to provide some new styles. I was actually hoping to hear more of his hard, big room style that he's been using a lot in his festival sounds and live sets, which I'm pretty interested to hear, and I'd actually enjoy probably more in a live setting. Regardless, I'm still looking forward to the future, looking to see what he can bring to the table, and hopefully follow up with a better album from this in a couple years. So anyway, what'd you guys think of the album? I know you guys have been asking for this review for a while, so let me know what you thought of the album. If you agreed with me, cool. If you didn't, let me know, but don't hate me. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you later. Peace.